Greetings and salutations to you all. Once again, it is me, the Ravenous Spectre. And this video today is why I hate QTEs, otherwise known as quick time events in video games. Probably some of you have had different experiences with QTEs. You probably experienced them in different video games because it seems like a lot of video games nowadays are really getting to that point where they're always putting in QTEs. And to me, I think that's a really lazy way of developing a game, because why can't you just have people go ahead and just play through that scene? If you don't want them to play through that scene, then just let it play out in a cutscene. Don't go and cock tease me in a way of like, oh, I'm going to get to play this scene. And it's just a cutscene, but here I am pressing little button prompts so that I either don't get injured in the game or I don't die, which is mostly dying if you end up getting, uh, hit or whatever it is in the game. Like, say, recently I've been playing Tomb Raider on PlayStation 4. The QTEs in there, I can't stand them. I really hate them. At one point in time, they were okay. Like, I first experienced them in the God of War series. I think maybe the God of War series was probably the first game series, excuse me, that actually had brought about QTEs. I'm not necessarily sure, but there's been other games that have had that, like the Resident Evil series, Resident Evil 6. Oh, Jesus. They had QTEs galore, and I freaking hated it, dude. I really did. It was a waste of $60. Seriously, I don't know where they were going with Resident Evil 6. I can understand if they wanted to kind of have a little bit more of an action genre, but to me, don't put like your staple series of what your series had been known to be beforehand, like with survival horror, as being one of your main staple uh, entries in your main series and turn it into a big action fest. Which, I'm not a Resident Evil fan. I'm not into survival horror or anything like that. But I do know that survival horror is the mainstay of the Resident Evil series, and what they did with Resident Evil 6 was just, it was terrible. It really was, especially jumping from character to character and all of that. What, like 3 or 4 different storylines or whatever it was, and I don't know. Yeah, I played it through once, and that's all I'm going to play it through. I can't even believe they, I can't even believe they ended up re-releasing it on PlayStation 4. Whatever. Fuck that. Not gonna bother with it. Play it on PlayStation 3 once, done with it. But anyways, yeah, that was a game that was really plagued with QTEs. And Tomb Raider has them too. The God of War series has them. And this might sound a little bit hypocritical for me, but I can understand seeing it in the God of War series. But now, I mean, throughout the whole series itself with God of War, but nowadays, I hope that the new God of War that's going to be coming out, which apparently is supposed to be, from what rumors have been said, that it's supposed to be in Norse mythology, which Norse mythology is pretty badass, which, as you know, one of my favorite heavy metal bands, a Viking death metal band, is Amon Amarth, and they sing about Norse mythology like crazy, and Vikings, and that whole shindig. But I really hope that maybe it actually comes to a point to where they end up getting rid of QTEs. I'm just so fed up and sick and tired of QTEs beyond belief. If you're not going to have me just go ahead and act out in the game and just play the game the way it's meant to be played when you put it out there, then just make it a cutscene. Just make it a cutscene and leave it at that. Don't leave me there in stitches thinking I'm going to play something, and then I think something's going to be a cutscene, and then, oh god, I got to press a button really quick so that I don't die. I mean, I can understand it wanting to be like an immersive kind of thing with, like, oh, these people are really playing this game and they're really getting into it. We really need to be able to let them do it. And let's go ahead and put a QTE in here, so they could be like they're playing out a cutscene, which is just stupid. A cutscene is a cutscene. It's supposed to be a cutscene. To me, I think it's just really lazy. Just, if you yourself can't think of something grand or whatever that you want to put in the game for to have me to play through, or other fans of whatever series or game it might be, then don't put it in there. Just don't. If you can't decide whether you want something to be an actual gameplay session or a cutscene, just don't put it in there. Because QTEs, it really just makes you feel like you're just getting ripped off, like you're getting cheaped out in terms of a game. It's like, I don't want to have a game where I just press one button to act out through a scene when I could be playing through it. And sometimes, honestly, Like if I'm playing a game, if it has the abilities to turn off QTEs, I will turn off the QTEs. I will watch the actual cutscene of it, or have very minimal control in terms of something that I think should be a cutscene. If I can't actually play it, then I don't want to be able to have to press a button to just advance myself. I'll just watch it out as a cutscene. Because some games that I've played have actually been that way, where they have a very minimal interface in terms of you playing a cutscene, I guess you could say, with a QuickTime event. So it's really just become a plague in action games nowadays. It's a cheap way to get out of developing more extra. You know, it's kind of funny how it seems like as much time as game developers are taking on these games, they end up delaying these games over periods of months or years or whatever the case may be. Why is it that apparently they're just wasting time putting in QuickTime events? If you're spending that much extra time to be able to get bugs and everything out of games, then actual put real gameplay in there. Because the way that I see it, with the QuickTime events that are being put into these games, you could have ended up releasing the game a hell of a lot sooner. And to like I mentioned, I just think that's laziness with QuickTime events. It was cool for a certain period of time, like with the God of War series and maybe a few games afterwards and whatever series QTEs came out in. But the way that it is now, it's just really, really rampant, and it's just aggravating beyond all belief. You know, that's kind of like one of the things that I look for in some games is if this game is going to end up having like a lot of QTEs, I may not even bother buying it, or it may come to a point where I just won't bother. I either won't buy it, or I'll just wait until it's like extremely cheap. Hell, I may even buy it used. I mean, but I'm not going to be paying for, if it's a game I want to experience, I'm not going to be paying for a full price for a game that's just going to have me press one button to advance through a series of cutscenes. So, if any of you guys have any comments about that, leave comments down below. Make sure to like, favorite, comment, subscribe, do whatever you feel like you need to do. You know, let's really get out there to game developers and the masses and let them know we're sick and tired of QTEs. Put some actual innovation into these games. Quit doing the norm all the time. You know, you grab onto one cliche kind of thing with dealing like what I mentioned, what the video title is dealing with QTEs. You grab onto one thing and then you just go ahead and just run with it, and it gets played out. It gets old. It gets stupid. It gets boring. It gets dull. And to me, it really stifles creativity when it comes to trying to come up with original titles, trying to come up with original content, trying to come up with original gameplay, and actually expanding on their universes. It stifles creativity. It stomps it down into the dirt, and we're just like, oh, we're just going to do our whole run-of-the-mill thing and slap a $60 price tag on it, and old people are going to buy it because of the name. You know, nope, not with me. No way. I mean, I really, when it comes to my games, I really look into them and I really see what they're all about before I even bother to buy anything. You know, because with media, you got to be really picky, because media is like video games, they're a luxury, they're not a necessity, so you really got to be really picky with what you get. So, with that being said, pretty much that's all that I have to say. It is really late. I'm going to go to bed. I'm tired of shit. I'm going to get up tomorrow, or actually I should say today, because it's almost 3 o'clock in the morning, and see what the day holds for me. So, anyways, I'll end this like I always do. Later, taters. There's the button. Adios, amigos.